marks standards for web security, web application security. It releases top 10 vulnerabilities in every 5 years, which are the top most 10 vulnerabilities caused or exploited in 5 years by the attacker, and it helps developers and attackers both the way. Developers can mark their standards that we have to make a website secure from all the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, and attackers learn that how to exploit these vulnerabilities. Okay, next we were talking about XSS. As you can see, it is a web security vulnerability. First thing I will ask, what do you think OWASP, XSS, cross-site scripting, is a client-side vulnerability or a server-side vulnerability? First of all, leave everything. Can you differentiate between server-side vulnerability and client-side vulnerability? So Vivek is saying server-side. No, 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 no. It's not server-side vulnerability. It's a client-side vulnerability. Mohammed is correct. Can you differentiate between what is client-side and server-side vulnerabilities? What do you mean by? If you know, otherwise I will explain it. Client-side is using our own on-device browser. Client-side. My voice is still not audible. My voice is still distorted. Okay. So what is server-side vulnerability? It happens on backend. Server executes code and it has some bugs or vulnerability in the server side code. It's basically server side vulnerability. And client side vulnerability happens in browsers. User executes some code or malicious files are uploaded and all. Not checks the developer has not make some proper checks up in the front end, and user can upload any other files and all. Okay, so XSS is a client side vulnerability where user enters malicious code or JavaScript code into the browser, and it executes, and the information, sensitive information, is being released. Okay, everybody understand? Can anybody say that why XSS is still relevant till date? Think deep and tell why XSS is still relevant in this time also. No, Murgesh, I can't understand you. Use of JavaScript framework. No, no. Yes, this is the correct. Sanitize user input. Okay, lack of input sanitization. Yes, yes, website still use. Okay, not the lack of proper documentation. So, main root cause of XSS still exists are no input validation, like in login form or in comment section, no input checks and no output encoding are properly handled by the developer that might can cause XSS. Okay. What do you mean by input handling and output encoding? So, input validation is like you entered a script tag. I can share a screen. Okay, everybody can see the screen. Okay, everybody can see the screen. Okay, so suppose this is an input box for a comment section, and you entered a comment like hello view. It is a normal comment, okay? But instead of this, I wrote this. If there is no input validation, this might be as it is stored in the comment section. Okay, and what will it cause? Free error. Okay, what it will cause? It will cause an stored XSS. Every time you open a comment section, it will pop up an alert. So if no input validation is done, this might can cause an stored XSS. If there would be an proper input validation, it might not send this to the backend server. Okay, it will eliminate or sanitize the script tag in front end only, so no script tag is sent to the backend side. Okay, and what is output encoding? Like you enter script tag, but in output this would show as it is. Okay, if no output encoding is maintained. If output encoding is maintained, then this arrow might be converted into slash LB or might be suppose LC, okay, and this might be converted to percent D4, D5, okay. So backend won't understand that this is a script tag As you know, tags are like brackets in that. Okay, are you getting what my point is? Backend can only understand this script tag, but not this backend. Backend won't understand that this is written script tag or not. This is basically output encoding. If the browser won't understand and the backend won't understand that this is a script tag or not, then your payload will not be executed. Okay, are you getting my point? Or yes, yes, coming. Yes, yes. Okay. Um, can you tell what are the types of XSS cross-site scripting? This PDF I will provide in the group afterwards. Okay, DOM-based, reflected, stored. Okay. Okay. Do you know difference between DOM-based, reflected, and stored? Today I will give you a basic overview, and from tomorrow we will do practical labs, and I will give you assignments. So you can practice at home, and in class we will do live lab solvings, which will give you a broader idea about how these payloads and how the XSS cross-site scripting works. Is it comfortable you all to write in chat, or should I unmute? Okay, you submitted the assignment. Okay, okay, it is correct. DOM based happens completely in browser, no some server is involved. Okay, so reflected accesses is like you entered something in the form or any input area where website has created an input area. Okay, let's suggest a search bar. A search bar is an input field, and yes, it is correct. Reflected works only when victim clicks the. Okay. So what is reflected XSS? Reflected XSS is in suppose there is a search bar, and you entered some payload of JavaScript, and it executed. Then it is reflected XSS, and if you reload the site, it is gone. Okay. And in stored XSS, the payload is stored in the database. Like the most basic is comment section. If you entered a stored XSS payload in a comment section, everybody, your comment is not visible to only you. Everybody can see your comments. So everyone who opens the comment might be affected by your XSS payload. And you know DOM accesses happens in only front end, no backend is involved. Okay, Can anybody tell me why attacker needs victim to click the link? As somebody said that reflected accesses only works when victim clicks the link. Can anybody tell why the XSS, why the attacker needs victim to click the link? No, my point is that can't it be a 0 day vulnerability or zero click vulnerability, not 0 day, zero click vulnerability? Oh, nice, nice. Because it is not stored. Every time you refresh, the payload is gone. Do you know properly DOM accesses? So, can anybody tell what is source and sink in DOM accesses? Have you heard that term source and sink? Source of data and sink is like where data executes. Okay, good else. So basically, source is where input enters in the application, like the search bar, where the input enters in the application, and sync is where the input is used or executed. Mind, mark my words, these are the most important topics. If in future you are going to give an interview and you said that I know XSS, so the interview can ask, if you know the XSS, can you explain source and sink in an DOM based XSS? Source is where the input is entered and sink is where it gets executed. Okay, can anybody tell which is more dangerous, reflected accesses or stored accesses? Yes, stored is more dangerous. Okay, okay, you got that. Can anybody tell why is output encoding more important than input validation in XSS?
Do you know, or should I answer that?
Why is output encoding more important than input validation for XSS? So I will tell attackers output is like result, so it should be checked properly. Okay. The main reason is no, it is not correct. Encoding is not reversible, but input validation is bypassable. This might be correct. So the main reason why output encoding is more important as attackers can bypass input validations. As in the future labs, you will see that how input validation is bypassed. I can show you a demo or something like in input validation, the script tag is blocked. Okay, so what attacker can do in backend, the developer might have written if the script tag comes, remove it. But if the attacker writ- wrote another script tag in that or multiple times, or the attacker might run the script where S is capital. You can see that not every case, each case might be written by the developer. You know, developers are very busy and all. So, input validation might be bypassed, can be bypassed, but in output encoding, if the the output is shown as it is, it can be dangerous. So, output logic, like as you have said that and LD and BT and all, the bracket you can see cannot be bypassed because the response is coming from the server. Okay, it cannot be bypassed or it cannot be manipulated. That's why output encoding is more important than input validation. Okay, suppose you inject a payload, but it shows as text, not executed. Can anybody tell why? We just learned before that. Everybody is getting my point, or should I repeat? Everybody is getting what am I teaching, or should I repeat myself? The question is you injected a payload, but it shows as text, not executed. Yes, the correct answer is properly encoded. Suppose you wrote a script tag JavaScript payload and it worked in your system, but not in another system. Why? Because execution depends on context, like HTML context, attributes, JavaScript context, and all. What are these? Like if you found a vulnerability in google.com, okay, the same payload won't work on Instagram or WhatsApp. Their HTML content or JavaScript content is different, and how they will react to your payload is different. Okay, so every time a same payload or a same script won't run on same one other websites. Okay. Do you know cookies stuff? What are cookies and how it is being used by the browser and the websites? Can anybody tell? Cookies, tokens. Okay. Yes, it is correct. It is a session information. Cookies are basically they are used to define a session or define a session so that only the authorized user have access to that session. Okay, that is correct. Absolutely correct. Cookies are basically what a small piece of a data which is stored by the user's browser by a website to maintain a state. Like if you log in, the your session is saved in your browser's data. Okay. If next time if you are trying to access that website, you don't need to log in again and again. Okay, somebody might have pasted the whole Chrome answer in the chat. So my question is, if you know all know about cookies, so my question is, you find accesses, but cookies are not accessible. Why? You know how accesses can be used to extract the cookies, like in this tag. uh, From this, you can access the cookie, okay, cookie of that site. But my question is, if you found an XSS on a website, but the cookie is not accessible, how is that? What's the case in that why cookie is not accessible? If you got an XSS, you can type the JavaScript malicious code in that and extract the cookie. But in that case, you can't. Why? Not because of HTTPS. Yes, it is correct because of HTTP only file. The backend developer have might written that the cookie can be accessible only by the HTTP only. So nobody else can access that cookie and might be used some same origin policy and all. Okay, can anybody tell accesses can lead to full account takeover or not? Can excesses can lead to full account takeover? Not always, yes. But it can be used to take the full control of the account by using some another attacks combined with excesses like session hijacking. What is session hijacking? Session hijacking is basically stealing cookies of the authorized user, and from that stealing that cookies you can enter that stealed cookies in your browser, and now you are the user. Do you know what is CSP, content security policy? It's basically a security header that restricts which script can be executed by the user or the browser. If the developer has set that the website can only be run by the server scripts, then no script or no JavaScript code can be executed in the browser. Like content security policy is equal to script self. Okay, we will cover this more deeper in the practical section. Can you tell what are the most common input points of cross-site scripting in a website? Is my question clear to you all? Not login, search bar, URLs, forms, headers, comments, and all. Okay, okay. Do you know what is blind XSS? Blind XSS is where payload executes later in a different form. Like you submitted a payload in a contact form. Usually you see a visitor website and at the end there is a contact form where you can contact to the website admins or any contact person. Then later you enter the payload in that, and later if an admin or any privileged person opens it, and then your payload is executed and you got the result. This is called blind XSS, where payload executes later in a different form. Do you know why DOM XSS is harder to detect? Because there is no server responses, totally happens in JavaScript code logic, and it requires understanding of how JavaScript works and how the JavaScript code flows in a website. Okay, can anybody tell what is DOM? We are studying DOM cross-site scripting, but if you don't know what is DOM, then it is useless. So can anybody tell what is DOM? Not the full form and like an overview of what is DOM. Real-time change in the. So DOM is basically a structure of a website, how the website will look or how the website is structured. If you want to see, you can right click and inspect, and in the right side you will see a doc type HTML and whole structure of how website is structured constructed. That is basically the DOM, and in that no backend logic is executed. Yes, this is correct. A DOM is like an interface for testers and developers to test their code in real time. Can anybody tell what type of cross-site scripting it is? No payload in response, but the XSS cross-site scripting works. Did you get my question? Blind XSS response might come because if you wrote, okay, I will repeat the question. No payload in response, but cross-site scripting works. The answer is DOM-based XSS, as JavaScript reads your input and it injects it and it gives real time. It doesn't show any response to you, but the cross-site scripting payload is executed. In blind, you might have got an response, like if you entered a payload in that you entered a reverse shell code, okay? So if the admin accessed it, you might got a reverse shell. Suppose you steal some cookies, okay? But you can't log in with that. Can you tell why? Yes, cookies might be expired is one case. Can you tell another case? Like the developer might have wrote a code in that IP bound. In that, what is IP bound? Ah, yes, maybe tied to user's IP. Okay, what is IP bound? It is like developer has hard coded the values like if the request is coming from 192.168.0.1, then only accept that request and show the desired output. If not, give an error message. You might have steal the admin credentials or cookies, but you can't log in. That might be a reason that developer has added an extra step like IP bound, or might be added some same site restricted. What is same site? And same site is like if the request is coming from that same site, then only give access to it. Or if the request is coming from another site, like you crafted a payload and sent to another user, then the request is not coming from that user, so it might not be worked. Did you all get what I taught today, or you have any doubts? You can tell, or you won't understand any topic, specific topic. I can repeat that. Did you all got what I taught today, or do you want me to repeat any topic, specific topic? Can you please type yes in chat if everything is clear? From tomorrow, we would do some labs and see how the practical things work so that you might get a bigger picture and clear view of what is what we are learning in theory is implemented in the practical website. Okay. One task I am giving you, if you have created the account on Portswigger, it is very good. If you have not, create them. Tomorrow we would be doing Portswigger labs, and I might be selecting some triagony labs for the beginners level. And if it all worked, then we would move to intermediate levels. Okay. So your task is to create an account on Portswigger Labs. It is free and